DJ Metal Craig of Craig's Metal Storm here, and I have Gene from multiple bands with me today doing a career history interview. Hey, would you like to introduce yourself and what your current band is that you're performing in?
I'm Gene Polyabicki, and my two most current bands would be Perdition Temple and also Malefic Throne. But there's also the other projects I'm involved in too, Hexorcist and also Demonized. So technically, there's four active bands that I'm involved with currently, but the two that are the most current just had a release out in the last week, actually on the same date, November 28th, are the Perdition Temple and the Malefic Throne in this
Right,
last week.
right on, Gene. And thank you very much for your time for this interview today. First question I'm going to ask you is, please go back in the history of your music career and how you all got started.
Well, myself, I originally started out, as a teenager, learning about the music and such, probably around the time I was 12 or 13, which would have been around like about 1985, 86. So it was a ripe time in especially for metal music around that period, because a lot of the evergreen albums that people still follow strongly to this day came out around that time. Like things like Slayer's Hell Awaits or Pleasure to Kill from Creator, or like Darkness Descends from Dark Angel. All of those albums have had a lasting impact on me to this day. Even if some of those bands have gone away, somewhat in modern times or altogether. Uh, the albums that those bands did during that time are evergreen. And generations to come will still be able to refer back to records like that. So that had a big impact on me as a young teenager, and then as I began to explore the guitar as an instrument that I chose to take on. It was clear that those were going to be foundational records for me to advance into everything that's led up until today.
Right on. And there's one band you might have missed in your list that's pretty good that we both might agree on. Violence, the band that did World in a World.
Which one?
Violence, Rob Flynn's first project.
Oh yeah, there was the album Eternal Nightmare that I think that came out about 87, 88 or somewhere in there. Yeah, because I remember they were on Mechanic or Mechanics Records or something back when it was some label that was giving away promo tapes everywhere, and it actually had the demo from Violence prior to the Eternal Nightmare album coming out, which from a friend of mine who back at the time wasn't too much into the thrash metal, somehow got on the mailing list for those tapes. Some people might actually remember what I'm talking about, but they were just like a tape with a big M on the cover, and it just happened to be like a Violence demo, and I don't remember some other band. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so that was my first taste of the Violence band, and then the Eternal Nightmare album came out after that, which I thought was really strong. I still liked Oppressing the Masses that came out. I don't know when the hell that came out, 89 or 90. That was still pretty good, but it didn't quite have the same thrashing frenzy that the first album had. And then maybe they did another album after that back in the 90s, but it was only those first two albums that I was ever really familiar with. But yeah, good stuff too, though. I mean, there's 1,000 bands I could mention. I mean, if I want to pull out, an endless list, I mean, and not just stick it into about 85 or 86. I mean, as time went on, great releases from like Infernal Majesty, Pestilence, first album, and a few hundred other things, Celtic Frost, etc. I mean, I could name drop for an hour, but on we go.
I understand that. And when you mentioned Celtic Frost, my personal favorite song by them is A Dying God Coming into Human Flesh.
The Monotheist album. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Monotheist album. I thought that
I
one
think that
song
was
was
on that,
kick
right?
ass off there.
Yeah, to me, the one that really grabbed me the most was probably the Megatherion album, because that one seemed to be the most complete, or at least the most complete metal album that they did. I mean, Morbid Tales was sort of a mini album that got expanded into an approximate full length when they added the Dethroned Emperor and song Morbid Tales to make it into a full length. Because originally those two songs were just some there's some history to that Morbid Tales was originally a mini album. Um, but To Make It Thereon was the to me like the first full length, which I guess technically was their first full length album. Um, and that one was the one that's always been the strongest for me.
Cool. And now we're gonna jump into Angel Corpse for just a second on a couple songs I like from the Inexorable album. The songs Wolf Lust and your creator cover that you did on those. You want to talk about those two and how they came about?
Oh, the bonus tracks on
Yeah.
the Inexorable. You're talking okay. You're talking about the Digipack edition. Well, what those were. Um, yeah, the Wolf Lust that was included on the. Hang on a second.
All good.
Okay, well, on the, I mean, you're talking about this one.
Yep. That's the
Okay,
one I
yeah,
had.
the bonus tracks there. Um, okay, well, Wolf Lust is on the album. That actually is. It was originally from a 7-inch version that we'd done about a year or two before that, but then we redid Wolf Lust on the Inexorable album, and the bonus tracks on that Digipack edition were a remake of the song "When Abyss Winds Return" from the Hammer of Gods album, and the Sarcophago cover "Desecration Virgin." That's what we had on that
It was the
as it.
sarcophagus cover I meant, not the creator one. Sorry, but I got it confused.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, the Sarcophago. But yeah, and that actually ended up we did that without any prompting, but sometime after we recorded that, Sergey, I believe Sergey and Wagner from Sarcophago did the tribute to Sarcophago album that came out. I believe it came out on Cogomelo Records back in the early 2000s, and that song was selected to be part of that. And from my understanding, it was one of Sergey's and Wagner's favorites of all the covers that were submitted. So I believe we were the opening track on that tribute album. So that was quite an honor to get from that classic Brazilian band.
This one might jog your memory a little bit for Angel Corpse. Who designed the Angel Corpse band logo?
The logo was designed and created by a roommate that we had at the time back in Kansas City, Missouri, named Joe Craig. He did a handful of variations on what became that logo, but yeah, he also did the some of that primitive kind of cave art looking stuff that was on the demo, and some of our early T-shirts that we had back in the mid '90s, late mid to late '90s. Some of the first shirts that we ever did with the Angel Corpse band had some of his art that was on it. But yeah, that was his name was Joe Craig.
Cool. Just give me a sec, buddy. I need to rehydrate my throat. I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee. How did it feel working with the guys in Perdition Temple?
Well, there's been a assortment of people. I mean, the original album, Edict of the Antichrist Elect, that came out in 2010. That was just two of us. There was just myself and Eleftheriou, or Terry from Greece, who is from various bands that he'd played with. He played with Narmataron. He's got his own project, War Grinder. And up until before we did the first Perdition Temple album, he was learning the material that was at that point intended to become what would have been the subsequent Angel Corpse album. But around 2000, late 2009, uh, Angel Corpse broke up, and that was the end of the band creatively, etc. But we'd spent so much time working on the material that I came up with the new band name Perdition Temple and approached Osmos to see if they wanted to pick up the project under the new name. And there was going to be obvious differences that I would be doing the vocals, and in the case of that album, I did the bass also. And then Terry did the drums and wrote lyrics for some of the songs. So it was just the two of us on that first album. And then flash forward onto the second album in the 7-inch EP, The Tempter's Victorious. That's where we had the expanded lineup. Terry, being that he was in Greece from the first album, and it was just too long a distance, so it was really impossible for us to really maintain that. So at some point around 2011, I met Ronnie Palmer here in Tampa, Florida, and we started working on the material for the first album. And then I think we did a few early live shows, and in that case, we ended up with myself, Ronnie Palmer on the drums, and at some point in there, Bill Taylor, who previously had played with me in Angel Corpse, he joined the band. So then we had two guitars, and then we found a bass player here in Florida named Gabe, and he became our bass player. And then we had Imperath from Black Witchery did the vocals with us, and that was the lineup for the Tempter's Victorious album that came out in 2015. And then after that, it changed up a bit again. The Gabriel, the bass player, was no longer part of it. Imperath was no longer part of the band, and that's where Alex Bloom came in on bass and vocals, live vocals, whereas on the albums I still do the vocal tracks on the recordings. And ever since that, when we did the Sacraments of Dissension album in 2000, that came out in 2020, it's currently been just the three of us in the band, myself, Ronnie Palmer, and Alex Bloom.
Right
So
on.
we've had a little bit of a membership shuffle over the last 15 years, but we're solid now.
Right on, man. And I just want to say one thing. It was fun interviewing you and Ronnie over the phone back in 2020, I think it was, for the old radio station I worked for, Metal Mom.
Okay, yeah, yeah, it's been a while, but yeah, okay,
I know it's
I
been a
remember
while
that.
since
Yeah,
we talked again, but it's good to have you back on the airways, man.
thanks, man.
I missed interviewing you because it was a killer interview we had that first time around. I had such a blast talking to you and Ron.
Cool.
Yeah. Was Malang at shoot, that's just a question. Was Malang Apotheosis coming out on November 28th, 2025? How did it feel writing slash composing this album?
A lot of that material had been written post, obviously after the Sacraments of Dissension album came out, which the Sacraments album actually came out just as the whole world was going into the COVID freak out and lockdowns all over the world. So myself and almost every musician in the world included was no longer able to go out on tours or, do any kind of like live shows, etc. So it basically meant everybody was stuck at home and what else to do. I think some people might have even just gave up, and they might have just stopped, participating in music altogether, thinking that, oh no, this is the end. We're never going to play live again, and as history shows, that was only temporary, but damage was done. But anyways, so all the material, all the songs that are on the Malign Apotheosis album, the newest one from Perdition Temple that just came out, all of that was written from around 2020, probably into from about 2020 to 2022, 2023. That last release that came out from Perdition Temple in 2022, the sort of expanded mini album called Merciless Upheaval, that had four of the new songs, and then there were the other eight songs that I had. So mixed up a little bit there as to when everything was written. Some of the songs on that Merciless Upheaval, those four original songs that are on that, one or two of those might actually be the newer songs written than all of the eight songs on the current full length. But I wanted to keep a balance with the A and B side of the vinyl records. I still think in terms of A and B sides. I guess that shows my age. But the eight newest songs that everyone's hearing on the Malign Apotheosis album, I think they were the best choices to have on the full length because I think they show the dynamic that the band has evolved to, where on one hand we go for really old school death thrash type sounds, stuff that sounds like it might be from about 88, 89, 90, that kind of the kind of raw stuff you'd hear coming out of the underground at that time, from stuff you do with tape trading, with the emerging death and black metal stuff that was coming out. And then we'll drastically shift into crazy dissonant technical type of patterns that maybe step out and beyond what I've done even on previous Perdition Temple or past Angel Corpse or other projects works. So there's a real churning, in and out of the kind of sounds that you're going to hear, from one riff to the next in some of the songs. But yet, with the Perdition Temple material, even though I try to do that, I still try to keep it grounded in what I consider like classic metal songwriting, where everything is still based around solid, strong song structures and just the way the flow of patterns go together. So no matter how crazy things get, or wild, fast, aggressive, etc., that it's still identifiable as a song, something that you can remember in your head with not having to just even, repeatedly listen to the record. Something you can just that you might even be able to hum the tune, if that makes sense.
Cool. Give me one sec. Gene, I gotta grab something I want you to see because you showed me the Angel Corpse limited edition that I used to have that got stolen from me. I've got a limited edition vinyl I got off eBay that you might know of. That's a bootleg, limited pressing.
A bootleg?
Yeah, it's a Merciful Fate album, picture vinyl from 1981. How's that for cool, Gene?
Oh yeah, that's cool. It was
I
a
bought that off
live show from
eBay.
81.
It's the number pressing was 213 out of 325 on that album. And we'll get into the next question, which was who was the artist used to design Malign Apotheosis album art, the cover?
That was Nuno from Portugal. Um, he's got Belial Necro Arts that he puts out his artwork under, and he's done a bunch of stuff for loads of bands. Like I mean, I can't remember all of them, but there's a lot. Um, I mean, if somebody looks up Belial Necro Arts on something like Facebook or Instagram, they'll see the full gamut of what the guy does. He does a lot of art with these what are called like plastisol ink pens. It's sort of like some sort of a I don't exactly get it. It's not like regular paint. It's like a different type of material used to make art with, but it gives a bit of a different visual look than you'd maybe get from a brush stroke from a paintbrush. And the piece that he did was actually a pre-existing piece, and I thought it went really well with the title of the album, Malign Apotheosis, which I guess in plain English would translate to like ultimate becoming of darkness. Um, and what I thought was really great about that piece, and maybe it was intended by him when he did it, but in the image, it's got sort of like a really warped looking, sort of demonic winged figure that seems to be, you know, enveloping and absorbing a completely distorted existence of like people followers and it's almost like the world is just being corrupted and distorted in so many ways. And a really cool thing I thought about the image is it reminded me of the classic image from the old 20s German film, I believe from Furnau, Faust, which it has that classic image in the beginning of the film where the devil is looking over the village, and they show the image of the winged devil looking over the city, and it's like this huge shadow just descending over the city. Anybody that watches those old silent movies knows exactly what I'm talking about, and then they can, and then if you look at the cover of Malign Apotheosis and think about that for a second, it's almost like a warped, distorted Lovecraftian version of that sort of an image. And that grabbed me a lot because I like a lot of that really classical type art like that, and especially like the imagery that came from a lot of those old early German expressionist films like Metropolis or Faust or others like The Phantom Carriage, etc. Um, so yeah, I thought it was a really great choice. I mean, some people wondered why I've had two albums in a row now with black and white art. That to me is irrelevant. If the art resonates with the atmosphere of the album's music that I'm putting out, then it's perfectly fit to it, whether or not it's a full color piece or a black and white.
I get you there, Gene. And just so you know, we're gonna have to cut to the second part of the interview because the first 30 minutes is almost up. So I'll send you a new link on Facebook in just a sec, and we'll resume the interview with part two. Okay?
All right.
Be back in a sec with your buddy.